I'm holding a champagne glass. My hand isn't shaking, which surprises me, honestly, because my heart is hammering so hard I can feel it in my throat, behind my eyes, in the tips of my fingers wrapped around crystal stem. 200 people are staring at me. My brother, golden, perfect, beloved Jason, is frozen at the head table, his new wife's smile already starting to crack at the edges. And my mother, God, my mother's face has gone the colour of old newspaper. Because 60 seconds ago, the DJ handed me the microphone for what everyone assumed would be a sweet, forgettable sister of the groom toast. Something about childhood memories and happiness and love. Instead, I looked directly into my mother's eyes and said, very clearly, very calmly, "Before I toast the happy couple, there's something this family needs to know. Something Mom has been hiding for 25 years. The room didn't just go quiet. It went silent. That awful, suffocating kind of silence where you can hear the ice melting in people's drinks. My mother's mouth opened. No sound came out. Jason half stood, his chair scraping against the polished floor. And me? I smiled, because for the first time in my entire 32 years on this planet, I wasn't invisible anymore. Let me back up. Let me tell you exactly how the forgotten daughter became the woman who burned down her brother's wedding with nothing but the truth. If you've ever been the overlooked one, the second choice, the child who had to beg for crumbs of attention while someone else got the whole damn cake, this story is for you. Hit that like button right now, subscribe if you haven't already, and buckle up. Because this is one of the most satisfying revenge stories you'll hear all year. Trust me, I need you to understand something right from the start. I wasn't a bad kid. I didn't do drugs. I didn't sneak out. I didn't fail classes or get pregnant or steal the car. I was fine, invisible fine, forgettable fine. The kind of daughter who got B's and B+, who made the JV team but never varsity, who had friends but was never prom queen. I was fine. Jason, on the other hand? Jason was a star, quarterback of the football team, valedictorian, student body president, full ride to Stanford, the kid who could walk into a room and every adult would light up like he was made of sunshine and promise. And look, I get it. He was exceptional, genuinely talented, genuinely smart, genuinely charismatic. I didn't hate him for that. What I hated, what slowly carved a hollow space in my chest over 25 years, was the way my mother looked at him versus the way she looked at me. When Jason walked into a room, Mum's whole face transformed. Her eyes sparkled, her voice went warm and animated. She leaned forward, hungry for every detail of his day, his thoughts, his dreams. When I walked into a room, she glanced up from her phone and said, "Oh, hi, sweetie," before returning to whatever she was doing. That was my soundtrack growing up. "Oh, hi, sweetie," not "how was your day," not "tell me everything," just, "Oh, hi, sweetie," in that distracted placeholder tone you use when you're acknowledging a piece of furniture. I remember being 14, braces, bad bangs, the whole awkward nightmare, and spending 3 weeks writing a short story for a local competition. I won second place out of 300 entries. I was so proud. I ran home from school clutching that certificate like it was made of gold, burst through the front door, and found Mom in the kitchen on the phone. She held up one finger, the universal wait signal, and kept talking. 15 minutes later, she hung up. "What's up, sweetie?" "I won second place in the writing contest. The one I told you about." "Oh?" She smiled, that quick, polite smile. "That's nice, honey. Good job." She turned back to the stove. That was it. That was the entirety of my celebration. 3 weeks later, Jason won a regional debate tournament, one he'd prepared for over a single weekend. And Mom threw him a surprise party, balloons, a cake. She invited the neighbours. I helped blow up the balloons. And I told myself it was fine. I told myself Jason deserved it. I told myself not to be petty, not to be jealous, not to be the bitter little sister. I swallowed it down. I swallowed down everything. The pattern continued through high school, through college, through my 20s. Jason got into Stanford. Mum cried happy tears and posted 17 Facebook updates. I got into a solid state school with a partial scholarship. Oh, that's great, sweetie. Make sure you fill out the housing forms. Jason landed his first job at a prestigious consulting firm. Mum threw another party. I got promoted to senior analyst at my company after 4 years of grinding. Nice! Does that come with a raise? You should take us to dinner. Every milestone, every achievement, every moment of my life was nice. Good, fine, but never celebrated, never seen. I became an expert at dimming my own light so I wouldn't notice how much brighter his was. And honestly, I might have kept doing it forever. I might have kept being the good daughter, the supportive sister, the invisible woman in the background of every family photo. But then Dad died. Dad's heart attack was sudden, massive. He was 61. 1 minute he was mowing the lawn on a Saturday afternoon, and the next minute he was gone. The grief was... God, it was like drowning in slow motion. But if I'm being honest, and this is going to sound terrible, the worst part wasn't losing Dad. The worst part was watching Mum lean entirely on Jason. At the funeral, she clung to his arm. She sat between him and his girlfriend, now fiancée, at the reception. When people came to offer condolences, she introduced Jason with pride, like even in her grief, he was still her trophy. Me? I stood 3 feet away, handed people tissues, and heard, "Oh, hi, sweetie," exactly twice. The day after we buried Dad, Jason flew back to Seattle where he lived with his fiancée, Emma. I stayed. I took 2 weeks off work. I drove Mom to the lawyer's office to sort out the estate. I cleaned out Dad's closet because she couldn't bear to touch his clothes. I fielded calls from distant relatives and organised the thank you cards and sat with her while she cried. Jason called twice in 2 weeks. Both times, Mum's face lit up like Christmas morning. And both times, after she hung up, she looked at me and said, "He's just so busy, such an important job." I wanted to scream. Instead, I nodded and made her tea. 3 months later, Jason called with big news. He and Emma were getting married. Mum shrieked, actual shrieking, happy tears, the whole production. "I'm so happy for you, baby. Oh my God, this is wonderful. When? Where? Tell me everything." I was sitting right there on the couch, and she didn't so much as glance at me. Jason said they were thinking a summer wedding, maybe a vineyard in Napa, something elegant but not too big. "Whatever you want, sweetheart," Mum gushed. "I'll help with everything. This is going to be perfect." After she hung up, she turned to me finally, and her eyes were still shining. "Isn't this exciting?" "Yeah," I said, "really exciting." "You'll be a bridesmaid, obviously." "Obviously. Not maid of honour. Emma had a sister for that. But a bridesmaid. Another body in a matching dress smiling on cue." "Sure," I said. Mum was already texting someone, probably already planning. I got up and went to my childhood bedroom. I'd been staying with her since Dad died, and lay on my old twin bed and stared at the ceiling. And for the first time in my life, I let myself think the thing I'd never allowed myself to think. I hate this. Not Jason, not really. But this dynamic, this lifetime of being secondary, this constant crushing invisibility. I hated it, and I was so tired. The wedding planning was exactly what you'd expect. Mum threw herself into it with the kind of manic enthusiasm usually reserved for royal weddings. She joined every group chat, called vendors, toured venues, debated colour palettes. She asked for my opinion exactly 0 times. "Well, no, that's not fair," she asked once. "Do you think the napkins should be ivory or cream?" I said ivory. She went with cream. Meanwhile, I kept discovering little things, little comments, little moments that made the invisible ink of my life suddenly visible. Like when Mum's friend Barbara came over for coffee and said, "You must be so proud of Jason. A wedding and that promotion." Oh, I am, Mum beamed. He's always been so driven. Ever since he was little, I just knew he was destined for great things. Barbara glanced at me. And what do you do, sweetheart? Before I could answer, Mum waved a hand. Oh, she works in marketing, I think, or analysis, something with computers. Data analysis. I'd been a senior data analyst for 6 years. I'd told her about my job approximately 800 times. She genuinely didn't know. Or worse, she genuinely didn't care. But the exact moment, I decided to stop swallowing it down happened 6 weeks before the wedding. I was at Mum's house helping her address invitations because Jason and Emma were too swamped. Mum's phone rang. Jason. She answered on the first ring, speaker mode. Hi, baby. Hey, Mum. Quick question. Emma's mum wants to give a toast at the reception. That's fine, right? Of course, that's lovely. Cool, and I was thinking maybe you could give one too, like a mum of the groom thing? Mum melted. I watched it happen in real time. Oh, Jason, I'd be honoured. I'd absolutely love that. They chatted for a few more minutes, her voice honeyed and warm, and then hung up. She looked at me, glowing. Isn't that sweet? I kept my eyes on the envelope I was addressing. Yeah, really sweet. A pause. Then, casually, like she was asking if I wanted sugar in my coffee. I'm thinking I'll tell the story about when he won his first football game. You know the one, where he threw the winning touchdown and the whole team carried him off the field? I did know the one. I'd heard it 9 million times. Sounds perfect, I said. Do you have any stories you'd want to share? She asked. You know, as his sister? I looked up. For a second, just a second, I thought maybe this was it. Maybe she was finally going to see me, include me, give me a moment in the sun. I could share something, I said carefully. Maybe about when we were kids. Oh, that's sweet, Mum said, already looking back at her phone. But let's keep the toast to just parents. You know how these things drag on. And just like that, the door closed. I nodded, smiled, went back to addressing envelopes. But inside, something cracked wide open, because in that moment I realised it was never going to change. No matter what I did, no matter how hard I tried, I was always going to be the oh, hi, sweetie daughter. Unless I changed it myself. I didn't plan revenge immediately. Honestly, I didn't even think of it as revenge at first. I just started paying attention, really paying attention. And once I did, the cracks in the golden child facade started showing everywhere. Jason wasn't perfect, not even close. He was charming, sure, successful, absolutely. But he was also selfish, careless, and, when he thought no one important was watching, kind of an ass. I'd seen it my whole life, but I'd written it off as sibling stuff or stress or just Jason being Jason. Now I started keeping track, like the time he borrowed $2,000 from Mum for a business investment and never paid it back. Or the time he screamed at a waiter for getting his order wrong and made the guy nearly cry. Or the time he cheated on his college girlfriend. Mom knew, I knew, but we never talked about it because, well, Jason was under so much pressure. But the big one, the secret I'd been carrying for 7 years, that one I'd buried so deep I'd almost convinced myself it didn't matter. Almost. It happened the summer after I graduated college. I was 22. Jason was 25, freshly graduated from Stanford, working his first big job in San Francisco. I'd come to visit him for a long weekend. We were supposed to do the whole tourist thing, Golden Gate Bridge, Alcatraz, brunch in the Mission. The first night, we went out to a bar with some of his co-workers. Jason got drunk, not tipsy, drunk, sloppy, loud, obnoxious drunk. At some point, he started hitting on this woman at the bar, aggressively. She was clearly uncomfortable, kept saying she had a boyfriend, but Jason wouldn't let up. Finally, her actual boyfriend showed up, a big guy, not someone you want to piss off, and told Jason to back off. Jason, in his infinite drunken wisdom, shoved him. The boyfriend shoved back. It escalated fast. The bar manager kicked all of us out before it turned into a full brawl. But Jason was furious, ranting and raving on the sidewalk about disrespect and how that guy was a worthless piece of shit. Then he got into his car. His car. I grabbed his arm. "Jason, you can't drive. You're wasted." "I'm fine," he slurred, yanking away from me. "You're not. Let me call an Uber or I'll drive." I said, "I'm fine, Emma." "Emma?" He called me Emma, his girlfriend's name. He got in the car. I should have stopped him. I should have taken his keys, called the cops, something. But I was 22 and scared and didn't want to make him angrier. So I let him go. He made it 6 blocks before he sideswiped a parked car, panicked and fled the scene. The next morning, hungover and sheepish, he called me. "Hey, about last night. You hit a car, Jason." "I know, fuck, I know." Silence. "Did anyone see you?" "I don't think so. It was late, no cameras on that street." "Jason, look, I'm not asking you to lie. I need you not to say anything, to Mom, to anyone. Please. If this gets out, it could ruin my career before it even starts. Please, Emma." Emma again. But I said yes. I said yes because he was my brother, because he was scared, because I was trained from birth to protect him. I said yes, and I buried it. He never mentioned it again, never thanked me, never acknowledged that I'd saved his ass. And Mum never knew her golden boy had committed a hit and run and gotten away with it because his forgettable little sister kept her mouth shut. But now, sitting in Mum's living room addressing wedding invitations while she gushed about Jason's toast? I stopped burying it. I didn't decide to blow up his wedding right then. Not exactly. But I did decide something. I was done protecting him. I was done being invisible. And if the truth happened to come out at a particularly inconvenient moment, well, that wasn't revenge. That was just honesty. The rest of the wedding prep passed in a blur. I smiled. I showed up. I played my role. But in the back of my mind, I was weighing it, testing it. Would I actually do this? Could I? The week before the wedding, I was staying at Mum's again, easier than driving back and forth from my apartment. She was in the kitchen on the phone with Jason, laughing at something he'd said. When she hung up, I asked casually, "Are you nervous about the toast?" "Oh, a little," she admitted, smiling, "but mostly excited. I've been working on it all week." "What are you going to say?" She launched into it. The football story, a bit about how proud Dad would have been, a sweet closing about Jason and Emma's future. It was lovely, genuinely. When she finished, she looked at me expectantly. "What do you think?" "It's perfect," I said. And it was. But also, it was entirely about him, not us, not the family, not the people who'd supported him, just him. "I wish I could give a toast," I said, lightly, testing. Mum laughed. "Oh, sweetie, you'll get your turn someday." Your turn. Like life was a queue, and I just needed to wait patiently for my number to be called. That night, alone in my childhood bedroom, I made the decision. I was going to tell the truth. Not to hurt Jason, though I'd be lying if I said that wasn't part of it. But because I needed to be seen. Just once. I needed to stand in front of my family and be something other than, "Oh, hi, sweetie," even if it burned everything down. Especially if it burned everything down. The wedding was beautiful. Vineyard in Napa, golden hour light, 200 guests in summer pastels. Emma looked like a princess. Jason looked like a goddamn Hollywood movie star in his custom tux. Mum sat in the front row, crying delicate, photogenic tears. I stood with the other bridesmaids in a lavender dress I'd never wear again, holding a bouquet of peonies, smiling on cue. Invisible. The ceremony was lovely. Not that week. The vows not were that sweet. Everyone but clapped. Madison did. And then we moved 3 to the reception. After the dinner, she sent me an Instagram DM. The wine was expensive. The speeches started around 8 p.m. Mum's in therapy because of Emma's you. Dad went Hope first. You're happy. Charming. Warm. I took a screenshot. Jason into the family. Then I hung Emma's it in my home office. Funny. Heartfelt. 6 months later, I started a scholarship fund for first-generation college students in hand, who came from and families her that didn't see their potential. The football story. I called it the Resourceful Futures Foundation. The
People
first recipient
dabbed at
was
their
a girl
eyes.
from Nevada.
Jason
whose
kissed her
parents had
cheek
spent
when she
her
sat
college
down.
savings
I
on her
watched from
brother's
my
wedding.
table, lavender
She
dress,
cried when I told
peonies
her.
wilting
I
in the
didn't.
centerpiece.
I just
and I
smiled
felt
and said,
nothing.
"You're going to do
Just
amazing
vast,
things."
echoey
because
nothing.
she would, and because
the
I
DJ
knew
announced a few
down
more
to my
toasts,
bones,
Jason's
that the
best
best
man,
revenge
one
isn't
of Emma's
cruelty.
college friends.
It's success
And then
they
because
can't
the
ignore,
universe has a
and
sense of
generosity
humour,
they'll
the
never
DJ said,
deserve. Anyone
"Here's
else
the thing
want to
about
say a few
being
words before we
underestimated.
open up the dance
It either
floor?
breaks you,
It
or
was
it
a
builds
courtesy
you.
question.
For 17
No one
years,
ever
my
takes
family
that
saw me
bait.
as the backup
Except
plan,
me.
the safety net.
I stood up.
the one who'd figure
Mum's
it
head
out,
whipped around,
and
eyes
they were
wide.
right. Jason's
I did
smile
figure it
faltered.
out.
The DJ,
Just not in the way they
surprised,
expected,
handed me the
and
microphone.
definitely not for their
I walked
benefit.
to the centre of the floor.
Some people spend their whole
200
lives
people looked
waiting
at
for an
me,
apology
and for
that'll
the first
never
time
come.
in my entire life,
I spent
I
mine
wasn't
proving
invisible.
I never needed one.
"Hi everyone."
So
I
if
said.
this story hit
My voice
home,
sounded steadier
if you've
than
ever
I
been the
expected.
resourceful
I'm
one,
Jason's
the forgotten
sister.
one,
Some of you
the
might
one
have
who had to
forgotten
build
I
their own
exist.
empire because
A
nobody
few
handed you
awkward
the
laughs.
keys.
People thought I
Smash
was
that
joking.
like button. I
Drop
just
a
wanted
comment
to say
and
a
tell
few
me,
words about my
what's
brother,
the most
the golden
satisfying
child
comeback you've
you've ever
ever
witnessed,
the man of the
or
hour.
better yet,
What's
Jason
your
was
comeback
staring
story?
at me, his jaw
And of
tight.
course,
Mum
subscribe
half
if you
stood.
haven't already.
I saw
because
her
we've
mouth
got more
form my
stories
name,
of people
but
who
no
turned
sound
pain
came out.
into power,
Jason's
betrayal
always
into
been
victory,
exceptional,
and
I
being
continued.
underestimated
Talented,
into the
smart,
ultimate
successful.
glow-up. Everyone in this
Thanks
room
for
knows
listening.
that.
Our
And
mum made
remember,
sure of it.
the best
I
revenge
looked
is a life
directly at
they'll
her.
never understand.
But there's something you don't know, something I've kept quiet about for 7 years. Because that's what good sisters do, right? We protect our brothers, even when they don't deserve it. "Emma, stop!" Jason stood, but Emma, his wife, his wife, put a hand on his arm, confused. I kept going. 7 years ago, Jason got drunk at a bar in San Francisco. He hit on a woman who wasn't interested, started a fight, got kicked out. The room was dead silent. And then he got into his car, absolutely wasted, and drove. Mum made a small, choked sound. He made it 6 blocks before he sideswiped a parked car, and then he fled the scene, hit and run. Jason's face had gone white. He called me the next morning, terrified, begged me not to tell anyone, said it would ruin his career. And I, stupid, loyal little sister, I said yes. I buried it. I protected him. I turned to face him fully. But you know what the worst part is, Jason? You never even thanked me. You never acknowledged it. You just went on being perfect, being golden, being Mum's favourite, and I stayed invisible. Tears were sliding down my face now, but my voice didn't shake. "So congratulations on your wedding. I hope it's everything you dreamed of. I hope you're happy." I set the microphone on the nearest table. The room was frozen. Mum was crying. Not delicate tears this time, but ugly, gasping sobs. Jason's face was a mix of rage and horror. Emma looked like she'd been slapped. And me? I walked out, past the tables, past the dance floor, past the string lights and the peonies, and the beautiful, perfect wedding. I walked out into the vineyard, into the warm California night, and I breathed. I won't pretend it was painless. Mum didn't speak to me for 3 months. Jason sent one text, a string of words I won't repeat here, and then blocked me. Emma, surprisingly, reached out 6 weeks later. We met for coffee. She was hurt, angry, but also curious. She'd started noticing things about Jason, small things, selfish things. I don't know if they'll make it, but I do know this. I'm not invisible anymore. I'm not the "oh, hi, sweetie" daughter. I'm the woman who told the truth, consequences be damned. And honestly, I've never felt more seen in my entire life. So that's my story. The invisible daughter who finally stepped into the light and burned down the golden child's wedding in the process. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever been overlooked or underestimated or made to feel like you don't matter, smash that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. And tell me in the comments, have you ever exposed a family secret? Do you regret it or was it worth it? I'll be reading every single comment. Thanks for listening. And remember, sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself is stop protecting people who never protected you.